Diz is working on a song for us to go there. It's going to be good stuff. All right. Well, we're changing the structure a little bit to the after party lounge. We want to the random question of the week. Oftentimes is about video games. This month it isn't going to be. But we also want to have an opportunity where we can just kind of talk about ourselves, let you guys get to know us, and us to get to know you guys a little bit more. So we're every week, one of us will come to the table with the topic for the After Party Lounge. We'll cover that topic. Then we'll cover the questions in the chat and talk about what you guys want to talk about. So Larry is going to, because most of the time with the show notes, I'm the guy who's putting stuff in and picking the topics. So I kind of run out of ideas. This is an opportunity for us all to get involved. So Larry, you're starting us off today. What is your topic for us?
First off, we didn't let Seth open the after party lounge.
Oh no! Do it! Do it!
Hello and welcome to the Player 3 Party After. Hello and welcome to the Player 3 Podcast After Party Lounge, where butt bucks
I regret it. See?
are spent wisely.
All right.
All right. So I want to know, what is the most terrifying thing, or a couple of the most terrifying things that have ever happened in your lives? Like, what was a moment where you were just utterly scared? And it can be like something serious and terrifying that happened, or it can be just a funny, oh, haha, I'm glad that wasn't really what was going down.
What's up, Itchy Newton? So this one time, Diz and I decided to watch The Human Centipede in college.
More butt bucks.
Scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Do you have one of these?
I mean, there was that time. I'm pretty sure it was some form of sleep paralysis, spawned by I don't know what. I think I told the story to you guys like a week or two ago, something like that. Maybe it might have been on the podcast. I can't remember. But I was maybe in like middle school. I was in my little twin bed in my room, and I remember I used to sleep with the door open all the time because I felt safe, like the door to my room. And I was lying there, and I guess I woke up at some point. Maybe I had been asleep, or maybe I'd been asleep before, maybe not. I'm not really sure, but I just remember being conscious and seeing in the doorway like just the silhouette of a man, and not really like you couldn't really make out any features. It was just like a visceral, deep, dark shadow. And it didn't say anything. It didn't move. It just was there. And I remember not really being able to cry out or do anything like that. And I just kind of, I guess, laid there and closed my eyes after a few minutes until I guess I drifted back off to sleep. I mean, it was terrifying. It stuck with me. Never happened again.
My story is more of like a what's it called when you look back, not retrospective. Or is that the one I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, retrospectively scary, because it's one of those where, well, I'll just tell the story. So I'm not going to use any real names here because this is an actual story.
I hope you slip up.
It doesn't involve Diz and I watching The Human Centipede either. But we had a guy who went to college with us who was very, very strange. And but for some reason he spent a lot of time around us, not around Diz and I specifically, but around people in our group of friends. And the first time I ever met him, I was listening to music in my dorm room, and he was like, "Is that rap music?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You better turn that off." And I was like, "And you better get out of my room." Well, some curious things began to happen, and a buddy of ours on the hall came into our room one night. We had a curfew that was like 11:30 or something like that in college, and it was right after curfew. He comes stumbling into our room. He's like, "Dude, the craziest thing just happened." And I'm like, "All right, what happened?" So we'll call this guy Tom, all right, because that wasn't his real name. So he said that he was asked by Tom if he wanted to go to a movie with him. So my friend, we'll call him Rick, obliges, says, I'll go to this movie with you. And the movie was okay. It was awkward. Tom didn't talk a lot because Tom was just kind of odd in his own regard. But on the way back, Tom's driving, and the school we went to was on a big thing of back roads, and like just this network of back roads. And there was a road that several people I know of had gotten in wrecks on that was 25 miles per hour because it was so windy. And he just had his foot on the gas, just gripping the steering wheel. And they were looking at the speedometer, and Rick looks at Tom and is like, "Hey, Tom, you're going fast, like 90, 95 miles an hour on these back roads. You want to slow down?" And he like looks over at him and goes, "I know my limitations." And so when they're coming back, they get on the elevator. Well, Tom lived on the first floor, but for some reason he gets on the elevator with Rick, and Rick like doesn't understand why he's getting on this elevator with him. And they get to going up, and he hits the stop button on the elevator, and he's like, Tom says to Rick, "We cool?" He's like, "Yeah, man, we're cool. He's like, no, are we cool? He's like, yeah, man, I don't have any problem with you. I had a great time tonight. It was fun. He goes, good, because there's going to be some people at this school who aren't cool with me, and they're going to be sorry. And then he hits the unstop button. So he comes to our room telling us he thought he was going to die. Well, finals week comes around, and we hadn't seen Tom roll around in a long, long time. And it turns out that what had happened was he got a major crush on this chick and decided to go ask her out. And when he asked her out, she like flipped out and called him creepy and said she didn't want to have anything to do with him. So he decided naturally the best idea was to follow her home. And by follow her home, I mean follow her 6 hours home to Indiana. But she pulled into a gas station. She realized somebody that was following her, and she pulled into this gas station about 20 minutes before she got to her house. And Tom gets out of the car and approaches her, and she goes into the gas station to call the police. And when the police showed up, he had just like walked away, like into the woods or something. Like didn't get in his car and drive away. No one ever heard from him again. Like his family did a search for him. Like it was a huge deal. Like where he lived, and to this day nobody knows what happened to that dude. And it's just like I was really close to something that was maybe 20 minutes away from being on Lifetime's Unsolved Mysteries. And it was it's one of those, like, looking back, it's just unsettling. Like, and I don't know if that counts towards your question, but
yeah, I think so.
So
it's like it's almost I live next door to a serial killer. That's creepy. I didn't. I'm saying it as an example. New after party lounge rule: if you're gonna have an epic story that just makes the next story just suck, you're not allowed to tell it till last.
My apologies.
So, but on the plus side, I thought maybe this was going to be too dark, but it's not. So I don't know how aware you two are of this, but Diz is well aware that I've always been kind of super afraid of the dark, especially like if I'm in the pitch black, I have this overwhelming sensation. You know how like when you can't see, you can like kind of feel somebody coming up on you? Mm-hmm. When I'm in a dark space and I can't see it all, I feel that all around me, like just the super paranoid. I'm about to get hit from all sides. Like when all the way through high school, it was really bad. Like Diz's bathroom at his house in what serves as a house in West Virginia. There's this doorway to get into the bathroom, but there's a dark doorway on each side, and I would always run and leap into the bathroom so that nothing could come at me from the dark doorways. And as an adult, I have this under control, but I do still have that sensation when I'm in a pitch black place. I just, as all adults do, we pretend that we're not afraid. And So this goes back to the most terrified I think I've ever been because it affected me that deeply that it's still a problem for me. When I was very young, like maybe 3, my mom left me with this babysitter, and I misbehaved, and so her response was to lock me in a dark room by myself for a really long time.
That's CNN junk these days.
Yeah,
that's Nancy Grace.
Once Mom figured out what had happened, there were words, and I never went back there. But yeah.
My favorite story about the house that Diz grew up in is when his dad tried to leave in the middle of the night and got like 20 minutes down the road and realized he was pulling his house behind the truck.
Did that really happen?
No. Mad Brock says Dizzy should turn the lights out. Don't do it.
There's computer lights and stuff though. It wouldn't work.
Do it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's turn it off. And
you got a mirror? We can do Bloody Mary.
And I got 2. Oh gosh, that's really creepy. I like it,
dude. When we do the Halloween
welcome
special,
to the after party lounge.
When we do the Halloween special, it's just yeah, that's sick.
All right. We got 2 questions here in the after party lounge that I want us to talk about. Zyger opens us up on the piggybacking off of the random question of the week. If you woke up in one of your favorite horror movies, what movie would it be, and do you honestly believe you'll survive? So you wake up in PT. All right, let's just go with ours. You pick one of yours. One of your 12. So you wake up in PT. How do you feel?
I see that refrigerator dangling with something kicking around inside of it from the ceiling, and I'm like going back and getting that plastic bag or paper bag with the teeth to like bite my throat out or something like that. And I'm gonna make him. I'm gone. I don't want to be in there no more.
Yeah, I talk all the time about like the zombie apocalypse and what I would do to survive, but honestly, I'd probably just off myself. Because I don't want to live like that. There's no like. Do you know how much time the Walking Dead people spend outside?
Oh, I know. I don't want to be outside. Outdoors.
Seriously.
There was a really great scene. I think this will be a really cool way to go out. And spoiler alert. I know you haven't watched Fear the Walking Dead.
I haven't.
At all. There's a really cool death of a totally minor extra character. Can I spoil it for you?
I don't care.
Well, if you are totally against all minor spoilers of the Fear the Walking Dead, you have those sunglasses. Throw those sunglasses on while you say it.
Okay.
And then when he takes the sunglasses off, you'll be good to turn your volume back on. So he's going to put these sunglasses on and give us a spoiler for Fear the Walking Dead.
Let's begin. So there's an extra, just like a soldier at this base, and he becomes bitten in the midst of like a little chaotic scene. Like just kind of not like totally killed, but like he's bitten on like the neck. And he starts like walking towards this helicopter where people were evacuating, and he's kind of stumbling, walking a little bit. No one like shoots him because I guess it's still the apocalypse is young, but he knows what's going down, so he just kind of keeps walking. He walks past the soldiers that are like maybe trying to get him on the helicopter with them, and just kind of walks himself face first into a helicopter, like the back blade of the helicopter.
Huh?
Be pretty cool, a pretty good way to go, and it just kind of creates a big red mist and.
Just like Ben wants to go out.
Yeah.
Ben wants to go out in a pink mist. All right.
All right.
And he got that dream.
Now it ends.
All right. But I think about waking up in the strangers. I'd probably my first option would be to go back to sleep. Last night I was sitting down here playing games in my basement, and I've got 2 dogs, and the dogs for the most part are pretty chill. But around 1:15, it sounded like they started fighting. So I got really mad and walked upstairs to break up the fight. But they weren't fighting. They were both up on the glass of the sliding glass door, snarling and barking at something. And I looked around, couldn't see anything. About 15 minutes later, they did it again. I finally went to bed and laid down. And as soon as I was about to fall asleep, they did it again, and nothing outside. And so last night I had this unsettling feeling like the strangers was about to happen to me. Like there was somebody outside about to ring my doorbell and ask me if Tamara was home. And I was going to say yes and walk out, and hopefully they would think that my wife was Tamara and they would have a pleasant time with her. Because they were just looking to hang out with Tamara, right?
Right.
And they got mad when
she wasn't
around.
Naturally.
So I would be like, yeah, Tamara's home. I'm going to run out and grab some milk and eggs and run a few errands, and I'll be back.
Dude. One time my mother-in-law was staying at my house right after Remy was born, and she went out to smoke at about midnight, and she came in and said, hey, I don't want to scare you, but I feel like I'm pretty sure I heard somebody talking out back, and like nobody lived out behind that house. I used to live in that house.
I used to live there.
And so I went down there, and I'm a pretty sneaky guy when I need to be stealthy, and so I snuck down to the edge of the yard, and sure enough, my dog was just pulling at her cable. And back in those days, she didn't really bark too much. And I didn't really think anybody was there, but I shine a light around. I don't see anybody, and just in case, I was like, "Hey, if somebody's there, you better say something, or I'm turning this German Shepherd loose." And as soon as I said it, from just a few feet away from me in the brush, somebody takes off sprinting away from my home, and I totally bluffed and yelled, "I'll be watching out here with a gun." I don't know a gun.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
Oh, man.
And then I went inside and changed my underwear.
All right. You wake up in one of the 12 movies you selected.
I'm going to pick Zombieland because the thing about Zombieland is the more you enjoy killing zombies, the more likely you are to survive. And so I feel like I'd be set.
Oh, that's a good answer. All right, last question for the after party lounge. Then we're going to get out of here. It says, "This is from Milky513. Do you think that games with really long development times, like The Last Guardian, Quantum Break, and No Man's Land, can ever live up to the hype after waiting so long? And games like Duke Nukem and Tony Hawk end up burning the faithful patrons willing to wait. Do games like this burn the goodwill of gamers willing to wait?" Thoughts, Larry? What do you think?
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a game that took a really long time to release, and then when it came out, everyone was like, "Yeah."
I mean, I think the simple answer. I'm sure that there is a yes, but I'm going to say no, just because 9 times out of 10 I feel disappointed by things that I wait so long for. Destiny being one of the main cases and points.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the key is you've just got to learn to temper your hype. You can't buy into everything and get super excited because you're just going to get disappointed. Don't get your hopes up too much.
Yeah, eventually a game the hype for the game outgrows what the game is actually not even going to deliver on, but maybe even capable of doing. And I feel like The Division did a good job of kind of backing out of the spotlight when things started to kind of reach a fever pitch with that game. They said, we're going to go into hiding. And then I imagine here in the next few months, they're going to start to, rear it up again when the beta comes out and all that sort of stuff. But the game that really comes to my mind when I think about this stuff is No Man's Sky. And that's a game that we haven't even seen it all that much. It's been a year, but we've seen it a lot. Sony's given a lot of screen time to it in their different conferences and shows. And it was an IGN first over the summer, and at the end of it, still no release date. Sean Murray had a huge appearance on the Stephen Colbert's new late night show, and that everybody was like, they're going to announce the release date then. Nothing. And it's getting to a point where it's like, until you can tell me when I can play this game, just be quiet. And The Last Guardian kind of became it was almost a joke answer to people's hype. Like I feel like there are people who really are looking forward to The Last Guardian, but I think for a lot of PlayStation gamers, it just kind of became the thing to talk about when you were asking Sony a question. Was like, where's The Last Guardian? Even if you weren't particularly interested. And so it created like a false sense of hype behind the very real hype, the very palpable hype that's in that game. And so now you've got not only the people who are really excited about it, but also these people who have just kind of tagged along for the ride, even though they're not familiar with games that were made in that vein. And so when it comes out, you're going to have those group of gamers who think that it's not so much about disappointing the people who are fans of that franchise, but rather the people who have attached themselves simply to the hype of it, that get on it and they're like, well, this isn't anything like I expected. And then Tony Hawk Pro Skater, they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, this is a nostalgic game, and we'll make our bank on the nostalgia, and then they'll probably walk away from it, and not do anything to support it, not do anything to help it out. It's just, oh, sorry, got your $60. That was one of those games they had to make their money in the first few days, and they did that by kind of playing on people's nostalgia. What's up, Mr. Pop 89? He calls it pimp stains. I don't know what that means.
Pretty sure it's a
Don't answer.
fluid.
Yeah, don't answer.
Fluid joke.
All right. Zyger says Duke Nukem is an example of a game that took forever to come out, came out, was crap, and ruined the series for everyone. True that. Duke Nukem forever.
No, I was trying to respond with a Duke Nukem quote, but I can't think
Eat
of one.
poop and die.
There you go. All right, we're going to get out of here. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit that follow button. I'm Luke. This is Seth. That's Lee. Oh, I just threw up.
I'm Larry. I'm not. You just threw up.
That's Larry. We are the Player 3 Podcast. Seth's telephone number 276
276.
7